Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today with from Written Word Media. I'm really excited to have Ricci here today. For those of you who don't know, PublishDrive has a really great partnership with Written Word Media that allows you to get some of your books featured. And we are really happy to be able to share that with you and share Ricci with you today. Thank you, Ricci, for being here with us. Could you start us out by telling us about yourself and about Written Word Media and what you guys do?
Yeah, thanks, Danica. It's great to be here. Big fan of PublishDrive, and so thrilled to chat to your audience today. I am the co-founder of Written Word Media. We have been in business for 11 years now, which is crazy. So we've seen a lot when it comes to the publishing and independent publishing industry. Our mission has always been and still is to connect authors with readers because we know that writing the book is a lot of work and you pour your heart and soul into it, and then you publish it and it's out there in the world, and you think you're done, and then you realize, oh, there's a whole nother job I have to do now, which is to market that book so people can actually find it, which is what we call discovery. Like, how do people discover your books once they're actually out there in the world? We specialize in helping authors market their books. Our kind of special sauce or niche is that we want to make our products super affordable and very effective for authors. So everything that we do, the different products and services that we have are all there to help authors market. It's the easy button for marketing. So be able to market on a reasonable budget and to see results pretty quickly as well.
I love that. I think that is so great because, as you said, visibility is so important for authors. And what inspired you to do that? I'm curious if you have an inspiration that behind the company.
Yeah, so my background before I did this and became an entrepreneur was in marketing and specifically digital marketing. So I came to this world having seen the advent of social media, of digital marketing, things we take for granted today, like being able to search for something on Google. And so I started my career when all of that was really new in the early 2000s. And my mom published a book, and it was right around the time that Amazon KDP was born. And at the time, Amazon was really a hero to authors. I know the relationship's a little more complicated today, but back then they were the only ones who were allowing authors to actually access an audience directly. They were basically taking away the gatekeeper. And so in helping my mom get in and publish her book directly, I started realizing some of the challenges that authors faced. This whole new burgeoning world of online discovery was happening. And I was like, hey, I can put these two things together to really help authors and this community that at the time very few people were serving.
I think that's awesome. It's so
Mm.
fun how you started this just because you wanted to help your mom, and now you're helping all of these authors. And I'm curious, what gap did you see in the market in terms of authors and getting that visibility?
Yeah, it's like anything else. The marketplace is very crowded, and this is not just for books, it's for basically any product that you put out into the world, whether you decide to do a sneaker line or a cosmetics line or a food brand. Coming up with that product and figuring out who it's going to appeal to is the first step. But then actually finding your customers is the hardest part. There are tons of people out there who have great ideas and have created great things, but unless you can get people to know about it, it's really hard to be able to do that over the long term. And so books was no different. At the time, and these numbers have gone up a ton, on Amazon, there were probably 10, 20 million plus books. So when you published a book directly on Amazon, it was great that you now had the book there, but how was anybody going to find it? And that remains true today. Now there are hundreds of millions of books, whether it be on Amazon or other retailers. A lot of indies are starting to create their own stores and sell direct, which we think is really great. But the same problem abounds no matter where you're trying to sell your product. It's how do people know that you're out there? How do people find you? And that's really what we're trying to help solve.
Can you tell us a little bit about how book promotions help authors cut through the noise and get discovered by readers who may not have found them otherwise?
Yeah, so our flagship product and what we started with, and that what's really still our most popular, is what we call an email promotion. What we have been able to do over the past decade is that we have built an audience of readers who have told us exactly what kind of genres they're interested in reading. And so we have a few different brands, which we can walk through in a little bit. How this basically works is if you're a reader who likes to read, you might see one of our ads, or one of your friends might tell you about Bargain Booksy. And as a reader, you would come in and you would sign up for Bargain Booksy, which is just a recommendation email that you would get as a reader every day. You would go to Bargain Booksy, you would sign up, and you would say, "Hey, I love to read." What do you like to read, Danica?
Yeah, I love romance.
Romance. Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say, "Okay, I love to read romance." And actually, it's a little more granular than that. You would say, "I love sweet romance," or "I love steamy," or "I love romance fantasy," which is big at the moment. You also tell us what device you like to read on. You say, "I like to read on a Kindle," or "I'm old school and I still read on a Nook. I read on my iPhone." And then we take that information and we take that reader and it goes into our database. And then every day we send an email to readers, but we only show them books on the devices that they say they want to read on and in the genres that they care about. So we have about 1.5 million readers out there that we're reaching every single day with these book recommendations.
1.5 million readers. Like,
Yeah, we're very proud of that number. It's very hard. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money getting those authors to sign up and be subscribers and then give them a great experience. But it's a decent sized audience, and it's an audience that's big enough that allows us to really serve authors in all different genres. So that's the audience that we have. Then how we serve authors is, let's say that you are a romance author who has published a book and it's out there on one of the retailers, and you're like, "How do I get my first few sales? How do I get my first few reviews?" You would come to Written Word Media and you would say, "Okay, I want to have my book on Bargain Booksy next Thursday. And on that day, my book's going to be 99 cents or $1.99. And you would pay us whatever price that is, and we can get to pricing in a bit. You give us your book information and you hit go. The whole thing takes literally 3 minutes. We get that information, it comes into the back end, and we look at your book and we make sure, okay, your book is a romance, it is going to do well with our audience. And we would say, okay, your ad is approved. And then that following Thursday, the email will go out, and anybody who said, "Hey, I'm interested in romance," will see your book featured right there in their daily email. "Here's a great romance book. It's 99 cents today. Go and grab it." And then the readers will click through to whichever retail platforms your book's available on. They will then purchase the book. And what you should start seeing is sales come through in your back-end dashboards and your rankings increasing within the retailer. The benefit to what we do is not only just that day where you get the sales, it's also that we help to train the algorithm of the retail platforms as to who might be interested in your book, so that the retailers can then go and promote it in their emails or in other places on their website. So that's a big benefit to running promos with us.
that's awesome. I think that's really a great way to get those immediate sales on the book. So beyond those, okay, my book's on sale for these days, how does that help grow the readership for a long-term readership?
Most of the authors that we work with went into series. So let's talk about that use case first.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you have a series and you put in book one on Bargain Booksy and it's 99 cents, what will happen is the readers will grab book one, they'll read it, and then hopefully they'll go on to buy the other books in the series. The other thing that we really encourage authors to do is in their ebook to actually ask the readers to sign up for their mailing lists. At the end of the book, or more and more authors actually putting this in the beginning of the book, you can just say, "Hey, whoa,
Oh, wow.
we're celebrating." I guess I'm talking with my hands, and
Oh, yeah.
I'll try to sit on my head.
I don't see where it does that, but I'll look through the settings and see.
I'm getting all kinds of stuff popping up. And what we encourage authors to do is ask those readers to sign up and say, "Hey, if you'd love to support me as an author, I'd appreciate it if you sign up for my mailing list." Because what we really want authors to do is to be able to own their own audience. So yes, we have 1.5 million readers, but as an author, if you can build a mailing list of 10 or 15,000 readers, that's enough for you to have a really successful business and a fandom, so that every time you publish a new book, you can email it to those people and then they will purchase the book and support you. So you can use our promos to get those readers to come onto your list, right? It's a way for you to actually take readers that we have brought onto our platform and then pull them onto your platform as well. one of the big mistakes we see authors make is that when they first release a book, they will ask all their friends and family to go and purchase that book. And that actually can be fairly confusing for the retail platforms because let's just say I wrote a book. Let's just say I write a children's book. And then I send an email to everyone I know. And Danica, you go and you want to support me. So you're like, oh, I'll buy Ricky's children's book. And the retailer knows your purchase behavior. So they're like, interesting. Danica always buys romance, but now she's buying a children's book. And my friends, and so on and so forth. All these people come in whose purchasing behavior might be on other genres, but they come in and purchase my children's book. And what that does is it confuses the retail algorithm because now the retailer is saying, is this a children's book? Why are all these people who don't usually buy children's purchasing this title? And so what our service does is it only sends readers who always purchase children's books to that page. So it gives a very clear signal to the retailer that this is a children's book. All these people who've bought children's books before like it. And then the retailer can say, okay, I got it. I know what this book is. I can see the people who are purchasing it. And then they can go and put your book out to lookalike customers who might also be interested in purchasing it.
I think that is such a big, important piece of knowledge. Like, I've been in the publishing space for 20 years now, and I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And that to me is really interesting and fascinating and just a piece of knowledge that I think can really help authors in understanding how to not just get people to buy their book, but training the algorithm to show their book to the right people. What other reader behaviors have you observed that authors need to understand when they're trying to grow their audience?
Something that we're seeing more and more is, and I'm going to start with Amazon specifically, is Amazon has this program called Kindle Unlimited. And so Kindle Unlimited is a subscription program where readers can pay, I think it's $10 a month. They might have raised the price, $10 or $11 a month. And they can read any books within the catalog of books that are available within Kindle Unlimited. And then how authors get paid is when your book is read by someone in that program, you get paid out per page read. And so in our audience, we have a mix of readers, some who are in this program and some who are not. And in terms of expectations, a reader might see, going back to our example, Danica, they might see your romance book in our email, and they might click on it and add it to their TBR, their to be read pile within Kindle Unlimited, but they might not get to it for 3 or 4 weeks or a couple months. And so those page reads might take some time to roll in. And this is something of a newer trend because 10 years ago when that program didn't exist, you could only just purchase the book outright. So you would be featured on an email, the sales would happen, you'd get a few sales that came in the days that followed, but you were done, one and done. We're seeing this much longer tail of when people are actually reading the book. And then that also leads to slightly longer tail to when you get reviews coming and someone has to read the book before they can leave a review.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And again, I think it's important for people to understand what readers are going to do and what that looks like. So I've seen a few questions about like cost and things like that. Why don't you share what your different programs are and what the cost is? What I love about our partnership between PublishDrive and Written Word Media is that some of their promotions you can actually apply to through our dashboard, and you will be able to join their promotion either for free or for a very low cost. If you're like, will this work for me? I encourage you to try it out. But then if you like that, please go over to Written Word Media and make sure you're doing their full program.
Sure. Yes. So in our emails that go out every day, there are the paid ads, but then there's also books that are chosen by our team as editorials. And so in the partnership that we have with PublishDrive, you can apply to be considered for editorial placement. And if your book is a good fit for an open slot that we have on a given day, we will put one of those titles in as editorial. So it's basically like getting a free ad or free placement in front of our audience. And we love that because it does give authors an opportunity to try out our service with no risk. I will also say in general, We're all about customer satisfaction. So if you purchase an ad with us and it doesn't work for your book, we do send you a survey right after and we say, hey, how did it go? And if you're like, it went terrible, we'll give you your money back, or we'll give you another promo and try a different audience to try and make it work. In terms of pricing, it really ranges depending on the brand and the genre. As an example, if you're doing a children's book on Bargain Booksy, I think the cost is $20. The reason for that is the children's book audience tends to be a little bit smaller. So we're basically charging you what we think is a fair price to access the audience of the size that we have, and then to give you a return on that investment. So we would hope that if you spend $20, you get that or more coming back to you after you've run the ad. At the upper end, some of our promos are like, really most of our promos are between $20 and $100. That's the range. The average purchase price of people checking out is around $100. But what we have rolled out in the last couple of years is something called promo stacks. And the price of promo stacks is higher. But what a promo stack does is it allows you to actually purchase an ad, not just in our email brands, but in other email brands who do similar things out there. And so instead of an author having to go to us and then click on 3 other websites and try coordinate all the dates, you can come to us, you can buy a promo stack, and we do all the coordination. We say, okay, you want to be on these 5 sites? We've got it. It might be $200 or $250 that you are guaranteed those spots in those other platforms, and you're able to check out in 5 minutes. So it tends to save a ton of time as well.
And I know at a conference, I heard Farrell speak about the promo stacks. Could you explain a little bit more about not just the mechanics that you just talked here, but why a promo stack really helps an author build their readership and get the sales for their books?
Yeah, for sure. So what a promo stack is basically a coordinated marketing effort that you do across multiple days. And generally it's 3 to 5 days is what most authors tend to pick. And why this is helpful is that instead of just getting a 1-day spike in sales or downloads on your book, you get this more concerted activity across multiple days, which gives you a halo effect. Let's use the analogy. The big brands out there like Coca-Cola, they don't just put Coca-Cola on their trucks and then they do a concerted push around the Super Bowl. They'll do a Super Bowl ad and they'll do huge billboards in New York and they'll do placements in grocery stores. They're basically
Right.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm taking different types of promotional activity, different types of marketing, and I'm putting it all into a shorter time frame. So I get this kind of intense effect where the consumer is walking around and saying, oh my gosh, Coca-Cola's everywhere. I should go, I'm in the mood to have a Coke. I should buy a Coke for my Super Bowl party. Promo stacking with books is the same idea. You want your book to appear everywhere. So as a reader, the reader feels like, whoa, this book is buzzing. I'm seeing it in the 2 different emails I get for book recommendations. I'm seeing it on Facebook ad. I'm seeing it everywhere. And so the idea with the promo stack is over 3 to 5 days, you do email promos like we offer. You could do like Facebook and Amazon ads at the same time. And you would also email your list of readers that you have as well, all within the same period. And so that gives you this kind of prolonged sales bump, which then creates this halo effect to your brand and should give you a longer tail of the drop off of sales over time.
I think that's great because you're talking about the long tail, and really this gives you almost an even longer tail potential. So,
Exactly. That's
yeah.
exactly right.
How should an author plan a promotion in terms of like how frequently should they plan it to maintain their momentum, but not necessarily have people constantly being bombarded with that?
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at the comments just before we move over from pricing. Somebody's quoting like $6.99. We have different brands that do different things. So Freebooksy is our email promo brand that helps you promote your book when it's free. Bargain Booksy is for books that are discounted, so they're $5 or less. And then Red Feather Romance is for books of all prices that are specifically romance. And then Audiothicket is for audiobooks. And then our 5th brand is called NewInBooks, and NewInBooks is for book launches. The NewInBooks packages, those are pricier. They start at $2.99, and at the topmost, they're $6.99. The NewInBooks launch package includes a bunch of different things. So it's us doing the promo stacking for you. It's running ads on Facebook and Amazon. It's doing an author interview. So that's a slightly different animal. Email promos in general and promo stacking in general, these are evergreen advertising products you can use to promote your book, whether it's new or whether it's 6 months old or whether it's 6 years old. And so we have authors who've been with us since day one, which makes me really happy, literally 11 years. And they continue to promote their backlist. So they won't just promote a new release. They'll promote books that are older to give it fresh blood. They'll continually promote book one to get new people into the series because they have 10 other books that somebody can purchase. And so in general, we recommend that authors are running a promo on one of their titles, probably on a monthly basis or every other month. But the more consistent you are with your marketing plan, the better the results you're going to see. Now, one caveat is we do not allow you to promote the same title 2 days in a row. We do make you wait. Usually 30 days is our kind of rule, but our recommendation is 60 because we need time to get new readers onto our list who can then see the book. So your romance book, let's just call it Romance is Great. If you promoted it on Wednesday to all of our readers, you're going to see a really nice sales bump. But if you then promoted it on Friday, you're going to see much less because a lot of our readers have already seen the book. But if you promote that same book again 60 or 90 days later, we've now had time to replenish. We're adding readers every single month. We add 10,000 readers a month. So if you then run it 2 or 3 months later, now there's 20 or 30,000 new readers, and you're going to see that sales bump again. So you do have to give your title some breathing room in front of our audience. A lot of our authors have multiple series, so they'll be promoting different series or different backlist with us on a monthly basis.
Oh, that's great. I think that's really a good way of looking at it in terms of what I really like you talking about is having that marketing strategy, because I think that sometimes people get overwhelmed and they just want to market, but they don't understand the idea of maybe putting together a strategy and seeing what that looks like. And so I love that idea of it being like part of that greater strategy. Is there a timing strategy that would yield the best results, for example, around a launch or a seasonal promotion or your backlist push maybe?
I wish there was some formula I could give authors and say, hey, this is a marketing strategy that's always going to work. Unfortunately, it really depends. And it mostly depends on how many books you have. So a marketing strategy for somebody with one book that's a new title is going to be very different from a marketing strategy with someone that has 3 series and 25 books in total. What I will say is the most important thing when it comes to strategy is 1, to keep it simple, and 2, to make a plan. And those things sound simple and easy, but we find that authors, that's where they struggle. Instead of getting overwhelmed or trying to make perfect the enemy of good, what's most important is just put like a basic plan together. Say, okay, these are my titles once a month, or I'm going to do 4 promotions this year. And then just write down a little schedule for yourself. When are those promotions going to be? What's my price going to be? And then let me put some concerted marketing around each of those. And it's fine to start small and to experiment to see what works for your books. We do have a blog at writtenwordmedia.com where we have a few articles on this, like how to set up a promo plan, how to draft a marketing plan, what might be the best marketing plan for series posts. Just create a plan. Just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Just say, okay, in the next 3 months, I'm going to promote this title and I'm going to do it on these dates and I'm going to spend $200 and then do it and see what happens. And then say, okay, that's what I learned. Now I'm going to promote this title on this date for this amount of money.
Yeah, and I will just give another shout out to their blog at Written Word Media because it really is great. They have so much great promotion information and marketing information and just general business and writing. And it's a really good comprehensive blog. So check that out. What metrics should they pay attention to if they're evaluating the success of this promotion? And they're like, okay, did this work for me? How successful was it? And I know that there is an ROI beyond just the immediate sale of the book. So, how would you suggest people start evaluating and taking a look at how it would work for them?
Yeah, the first thing is sales. So I'm seeing some comments here, and I think I want to be very clear. When you buy a promotion with us, you should see sales or downloads when that ad goes out. When you spend, like I said, if you spend $20 on a children's promotion, you should get at least $20 back in sales. So you should be at that break even point. So whenever you run a promo, you should be looking at sales if your book is priced. Now, if your book is free, you want to look at downloads. So in your dashboard, you'll be able to see how many downloads did I get. Also looking at your rank. Did your rank go up? By how much did it go up? The rank is an indicator of if the retail algorithm's going to start giving you some support as well. On Amazon, you can get badges. We love that. A lot of our authors get the like bestseller badge or new launch badge when they promote with us. And that's really exciting. And that helps with conversion because readers who might be coming onto the retailer see that book and see the badge, and it helps to convert new customers. So I'd say in the week following the promo, look at sales, look at downloads, and look at your rank change over time. And then over the longer term, probably more within 2 months, you want to look at your reviews. You want to look at your email list, your own author email list, and is that growing? Because that should be a side effect of running these promos as well.
Yeah, I think that is really one of the benefits that sometimes people don't look at with looking at the growth of their email list, because that is what's going to set you up in terms of your future successes and other ways to sell books. I just had a consultation with somebody the other day, and he was like, "What's the size of your list?" And being able to use that as a predictor of success. So I really like that tip.
Day authors are trying to make money. We get that, right? And that's the goal. So if you're running a lot of promos and you're spending a lot of money on marketing and your author business, your royalties and your revenue is not slowly growing over time, then that's not success. So either there is an issue with the marketing plan, sometimes there's an issue with the packaging of the that's a really important one. And we try to give authors feedback on that. But if say you're writing a cozy mystery, your cover needs to look very much like a cozy mystery, right? Your readers
Right.
actually do judge a book by its cover. And so they will look at the cover, and if it doesn't read cozy mystery and they're a cozy mystery reader, they're just not going to click on the book and they're not going to purchase it. But the challenge with that is if you make it really different, you actually confuse your reader. We all know what a romance cover looks like. We all know what
Right.
like a business nonfiction book cover looks like. We all know what a sci-fi cover looks like. And so an exercise for authors is to take your book, go to what you think your genre is. Let's say it's science fiction. Go look at the top 100 books in ebooks on sci-fi on Amazon, and then put your book cover next to those books. And if your book cover looks absolutely nothing like those books, you're going to have a problem with conversion because your readers aren't going to know it's a sci-fi book. And so that doesn't mean you can't be creative and have a cover that's different, but it really needs to be what we call on genre. The brand needs to gel with the genre brand that you're actually trying to fit in with.
And like I have been in this business so long that it's just so funny because an author will say, "Oh yeah, I was going to do something different." I'm like, "No, don't do something different." This is where we don't want to necessarily do something radically different. And one of the things I'll just share about PublishDrive, I know most of you on this webinar are PublishDrive customers. Make sure you take advantage of our AI assistant tool, because if you're in doubt, does my cover fit? Use our cover generator. At least you have that comparison piece to what is selling and does your book fit within that, and some ideas. The other thing I will just address one of the questions, because someone was asking here, if I use your book promotion services, will I still receive all of my sales revenue through my existing distributor, PublishDrive? And the answer is yes. The
Sure.
only thing written word media does is share ads about your book, but people still have to go to the different stores to purchase your book through whatever store they prefer.
So if you're wide, we will list all the retailers, not all, but the ones we support are Google Play, Nook, Kobo, Apple Books, and then we also support direct. So if you have a website where you're selling direct, your own author website, you can include a link there. We call it Author Store. And if the reader wants to go and purchase from you directly, that will be included in our email as well. So we're very supportive of wide authors. We're very supportive of authors who are exclusive to Amazon. We know it's a raging debate within the industry, but we don't care. We understand why you might choose one or the other, and that's great. And we will support you regardless of which camp you fall into.
I think that's really good. And that's really important information for different people who, whatever path you choose, you've got a promotion tool available to you. One of the questions that also had come up is genre. I had a couple of people in the chat asking whether or not you support nonfiction books and things like that.
We do. We have general nonfiction, but then we also have specific nonfiction, specifically cookbooks, self-help and how-to, and religion and spirituality. So those are subgenres within nonfiction. What we don't do in nonfiction are textbooks or trade books or anything like that. So the general rule of thumb is if you could walk into a Barnes and Noble and find the book, we usually have a category that you can promote it. But if it's highly specialized, like we don't do comic books, we don't do poetry, we don't do textbooks. If it's one of those categories, then unfortunately, we don't have the right audience.
That's good. I like that rule of thumb because I think that makes it really simple. If you can walk into Barnes and Noble and see that genre, that is a very helpful tip because I think that really just shows that you guys do something other things don't.
Yeah, we try to be as inclusive and broad as possible. We recently added graphic novels because that's a growing category and genre. That's something we never had before. So graphic novels we're building that audience, and that's something you can promote with us also. Memoirs and biographies, that's the other kind of nonfiction category.
Great. And do you do children's illustrated books?
We do. So children's is really interesting. So I'm going to give you another somewhat surprising thing that we've learned. Children's books, predominantly people like to read in print, right? I have 2 kids. When my kids were small, we only read actual print books for the most part because you sit in bed with them and you flip the pages. But we work with a ton of children's books authors, and what they have found is that if they run a Freebooksy promo on children's, they make their ebook free on Freebooksy, they get a ton of downloads because parents go and they grab the free ebook and they flip through it on the e-reader so that they can see, is this a book my kid would like? And then they go and they purchase the physical copy. So even though they're maybe not actually reading the ebook to their kids, they use it as a kind of risk-free way to flip through that book without having to go into a bookstore. So that's a strategy a lot of our children's authors use, is make the ebook free, but then it actually spurs a bunch of physical sales. We also have authors who do sell books on Bargain Booksy, children's, because more and more we are finding that as the world goes digital, parents are becoming a lot more comfortable actually reading to their kids on whether it's a Kindle or like maybe an Apple iPad. And we get some really heartwarming messages. Like last week, we had a grandmother email us and say, "Thank you so much for the service. I have all these books that I get to read to my kids that I wouldn't otherwise be able to because I'm on a fixed income and I have a really small budget." But she's able to get those books off of Freebooksy and Bargain Booksy and read to her grandchildren.
I think that is really cool. And I'm so glad that you gave us that little tutorial on children's books because that is the one book market I'm really not familiar with. And I go to so many conferences and people will ask me about their children's books and children's book sales. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. So now I know if people ask me questions about children's, I'll be like, hold on, please, and let me ask Ricci.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to try to do a blog post about that, or even maybe a pod. We have a podcast as well. And I would love to have at least one or a couple of children's books authors come on and talk about what is working when it comes to marketing children's books these days.
Yeah, I think you guys are such a good resource because you really do have your finger on the pulse of all these different genres and ways that authors can be more successful. Have any like things that maybe authors like are not looking at or mistakes they're making when they're trying to run promotions for their books?
The most important thing to do when you're running a promo is to make sure that the price of the title is correct on that day. So if you buy a Freebooksy promo, that email only sends free books. If Danica, you said, I want my romance on Freebooksy next Wednesday, and then on Wednesday morning, our team goes and we actually quality check every single book, and we go to your book and it's $4.99, we'll pull it from the email, because part of the reason that readers trust us the way that they do is because we're doing this work for them. We're checking that the book's actually free. We're making sure they're only getting books on the device they want. We're making sure they're getting the right genre. So if your book isn't set to free and you purchased a free Booksy, we will have to pull you. If you said your book's going to be 99 cents on Bargain Booksy and it's $7.99, we'll have to pull your book. Now in Bargain Booksy, if your books you said was going to be 99 cents and it's $2.99 or $3.99, we'll leave it in, but you might not see the same results that you would have at a 99-cent price point, because demand curve, the lower the price, the
Right,
higher it
right.
sells.
Yeah, and that is so important, and this is one of the things I also just wanna highlight about the advantage of PublishDrive, because people will say, "Why should I use PublishDrive for the stores I can go to direct to?" And this is part of it, because at PublishDrive, you go into your PublishDrive dashboard, you change the price on your book, and you do it in one spot. You don't have to remember to log in to all the other stores to change it, and if you're worried about your book not being the right price, just make sure you let our support team know and say, "Hey, can we please make sure that it's," and our team will take a look at that.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit, honestly, because I will say it's one of the biggest issues you run into is, and we send emails. You'll get a confirmation email a week ahead of time. We send you like a prep for your promo. We remind you the date. We remind you it's going to drop. But still, sometimes it gets lost in the mix. Authors are busy. I get it. And then the promo day comes and the price isn't right. And it's really disappointing for everybody. So, yeah, if you're in KDP Select, you can actually set these dates ahead of time, a price drop or free. But for your audience, Danica, to do free, it's price match. So I don't know how long that normally takes to price match across retailers. But in terms of price drops, that's pretty easy for you guys to put in place, right?
Yeah, yeah, and so just in response to the question about how many days do they need, it really depends, and so just reach out to our support team, and they can help you figure out what the timing is. If you've got a book that you know is coming up in a promo, we can help you set that. But this is also a really great question from one of our audience members of, "If I plan to launch my book in March next year, how far in advance should I contact you to arrange a launch promotion?"
Yeah, a month ahead of time is fine, maybe 6 weeks. It depends exactly what you're wanting to do. But a lot of our promos, you can book. If you're doing a NewInBooks launch for that, then yeah, probably 4 to 6 weeks ahead of time, you'll go through our process. And then with NewInBooks, you actually get a book launch specialist, and then she'll reach out to you and she'll send you questions and start getting your interview and everything set up. But we're pretty good at working on shorter timelines. A lot of our promos that we run come in 4 or 5 days ahead of time. The deal of the day, which gets you into both the Freebooksy and Bargain Booksy email, and our series promotions, which highlights your entire series, those can sell out a couple months in advance. So if you're looking at one of our specialty promos, you might want to look 2 months ahead of time. If you're just looking at a regular promo or a promo stack, usually 2 to 4 weeks ahead of time, you should have no problem. Or even say you've got some marketing you're doing next week and you're like, hey, I just want to kind of layer something on. Go check out our platform. It's all, you don't even have to create an account to see what's available. You can click in, you can pick your genre, and you'll see what dates are available, what's sold through, what isn't. If you're working with PublishDrive on setting your book free and it's taking longer than you thought, you can just email us. So let's say you're going to run a free promo on November 1st and the price matching is taking longer. And so on next Thursday, October 20 something, you realize it's probably not going to drop. You would just reach out to our team and say, hey, I don't think it's going to be free. Can we push it 2 weeks? And we'll move stuff for you. Our customer service team, and sometimes you'll get emails from me, I take tickets as well, is amazing. And our goal is to make things easy for authors, right? We're the easy button for authors when it comes to marketing. So if you need help and you write into us, we will help you. You'll also have a portal where you can see your promotions coming up, and you can click a button that says, I need to change my feature. And a human being will write you back and say, hey, no problem. When do you want to switch it to? And then we'll switch it for you.
I think that's really great, and that again, I think that's one of the reasons why we like you guys so much, is you really are great at helping people and really making sure that people are getting what they need. And we have someone in the comments who said, I tried their service on a new book. It did better than I thought. Ricci, are there any success stories that you have from your customers that you would like to share of people who've really found some success with what you do?
There's so many. And what I don't like doing is like naming the really
Mhm.
successful famous authors that everybody knows. And we do have a lot of those on our platform who've been with us forever and have literally built empires. But the truth is, like, we serve thousands of authors every year. And most of those authors, their goal is to make a living from their writing. They're not trying to build empires. And we've helped so many of them do that. And we get emails all the time. And like I said, the best proof is the repeat purchase rate. Like I said, we have authors who bought with us 11 years ago and still buy with us. And when we look at these numbers every year, 80% of them keep coming back and using our promotions year after year. That's how we judge success is, are our customers building their business? Are they making money? Are they able to stick with it? Are they achieving their dream? Are either supplementing their income or making this a full-time gig?
I think that's awesome and love that success because I think you're right. It's the people who come back, the repeat customers that are the proof of the success. As we wrap up, is there any final advice or information maybe we didn't get to that you'd like to share?
We covered a lot. We are constantly trying to serve authors for where they are. And so, as authors are more and more trying to build their own email lists and building their own brand platforms, we have introduced a new service called Subscriber Surge Giveaways. And that service is the goal is to help you build your email lists. So, if you're a fantasy or romance author and you want to add, 200 or 300 readers to your list, you can join one of our giveaways at $75. We run them on the first of every month and we run them for 60 days. And we go out and find those readers and bring them in, and they sign up for your list. And in the portal, you'll see those subscribers. You can download them every single day, send them a welcome email. But it's an easy button for building your subscriber list. Less popular genres like nonfiction, self help, maybe you get 200, 250 subscribers. Fantasy romance, you might get 4, 5, 600 subscribers. So that's been a really popular product with our authors. That one does sell out. We have a bunch starting November 1st. I think most of them are sold out, but we have another batch December 1st. Authors go check that out as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because we have so many newer authors who are like, how do I build my list? You keep talking about the email list. How do I build it? And you guys have a really great product and solution for doing that.
We do ads as well, Amazon ads and Facebook ads, if people want specific help with that. Generally, it's within a promo stack. So it's running it over 5 days for you as part of that concerted marketing. But yeah, I think the last thing I'd say is it's hard. Like, it's not easy. Marketing anything, as we talked about, circling back to the beginning of the conversation, it is hard to market a book. It's especially hard when it's not what you do every day. If you're a writer, you're creative. This is my profession, is customer acquisition and building audiences. And so we're here to try and simplify that for authors. But my advice would be like, stick with it, experiment, but also give yourself some grace as you go through this process and you learn how to build your audience and what works for your titles.
Thank you. I think that's really important is that this is not an overnight success thing. And a lot of us, we know how to write books. We don't know how to market. And that's why talking to someone like you, who's an expert, that is really where we're able to find the success. Thank you so much for coming today. And also thank you for being a partner with PublishDrive. We love working.
We love being partners with you guys. We think the work that you're doing is great. For everyone who's on this call, I think it's a great decision to be with PublishDrive. They do amazing things when it comes to distribution, and some of the new tools you're rolling out to help authors, I've been so impressed with. So that's really amazing. And yeah, just thank you so much for having me on today. This was lovely.
All right. Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming and really great having you.
Great. Thanks, Danica. Bye, everyone.